So first I just want to say that before we get into the details of the bill, this bill wouldn't have happened without an extraordinary legislative effort. But I just want to give special thanks to Maria Archangelo, who's the head of the Vermont Press Association right now, for her support and help in making this possible. The Vermont Press Association has been extraordinary. Mike Donahue was the past director, and without Mike and Maria, we wouldn't be where we are. Alan Gilbert, executive director of the ACLU, the entire ACLU board, and the folks in Vermont who support the ACLU, thank you. And a special shout out to the chairs of the two committees that did the heavy lifting, Representative Donna Sweeney and Senator Jeanette White. I know Jeanette's not here, but Donna is, thank you. And none of this would be possible without the Speaker of the House and the President Pro Tem of the Senate. I think the President Pro Tem is actually getting billable hours, the Speaker isn't. Just a couple of comments before I'm going to ask Maria and Mike and Alan and our legislators, whoever wants to say a few words, to say a few words. When I took office in January, I made very clear that I wanted this administration to be an administration that understood from the top on down that it is government's job to take care of Vermonters, not to hide things from Vermonters. I promised that we would have a transparent, open government that lets people know what we're doing and why we're doing it. I was honored to have the support of the legislative leadership in that quest. And needless to say, they have been extraordinary in helping us to ensure that we have open and honest government. This bill represents an important step forward for open government in Vermont. We've seen too many times the practice where public records haven't, and public records promises by politicians haven't been lived up to. This bill does a number of things that are going to make a difference. First, by requiring courts to pay the cost when public officials hide information that should not be hidden, we ensure that we can get that information. We put an incentive in place for people in government to give people outside of government the access that they should have. So this bill does one simple thing. It says if a public official does not disclose information that should have been disclosed, and the court rules that it should have been disclosed, they pay the legal fees for the person that had to go to court to have those details disclosed. That's good government. Second, the law makes the state of Vermont and any other public agency that denies a request for a public record, they put the burden, it's now our burden to point the applicable exemption, if there is one, to show why we shouldn't disclose. So that's important. Third, and finally, there are a number, over 120, how many is it, Mike? 139? 250. 250, thank you, Jim Condos. There are 250 exemptions currently in our public record law. There wasn't consensus on what should be in and what should be out, but this bill does require that a group sit down and figure out what exemptions make sense, what exemptions don't, and come back to the legislature and the governor with recommendations. So that's a great step forward. I want to also thank Jim Condos and the Secretary of State's office. When Jim Condos took office on the same day that I did, he came to state government with the same commitment to open government and honest government, to getting facts out to Vermonters that they need to have. So I want to thank you, Jim Condos, for your leadership, as well as the entire Secretary of State's office. So maybe we'll start out with Maria and Mike and the Secretary of State, and then Alan, Donna, unless you want to say something to speak. You want Donna to do the talking for you. Okay, Maria, if you're willing just to share your thoughts. Come on, you got to come right over here. Listen, I'm going to teach you how to do a press conference.
This is not our thing.
Come on,
I'm over there, not up here. Okay, I just wanted to say how important this really feels, not only for the Vermont Press Association, but also for the Vermont Coalition on Open Government, which we are a part of, proud to be a part of, and Alan Gilbert will speak more to that. But this really is the most significant step forward on open government or public records legislation since the law was enacted more than 30 years ago. And we're really grateful that the governor made this a priority, and that the legislature made this a priority, and the Secretary of State's office. It was really a great spirit of cooperation this year, and even though we in the press try not to be sort of part of the process, we know that sometimes it's our job to step up, and we're really grateful for this response. Thank you.
Thanks, Maria. Thanks for all your support. You want to add anything, Mike? I guess you're writing the story. You can't. Alan Gilbert, ACLU, and then right here from Secretary of State.
Sure. Thanks, Governor. This really is one of those bills that there is no one single hero, no one single force that made it happen. But as Maria just said, this is an incredibly significant change to a law that's been around for 35 years, a law that was born of the excesses of the Watergate era. And it's taken 35 years until we finally come up with what we all hope will be an effective enforcement mechanism through the awarding of fees and costs. So thank you to everybody who worked on this, particularly the legislative leaders. There is one person who really hasn't been thanked, and he's the reason that I'm worried even now that this bill might not actually make it past the final hurdle, past the finish line, and that's the governor himself. I'm sure he will sign it, but
Alan, where are you going with it?
we all have been worried for so long that we'd never see this change come about to have a more effective public records law. And we're just incredibly grateful to you and your administration and the legislative leaders who said this is a priority and we're going to make it happen. Thank you.
Thanks, Aaron. As long as we get into my team, I can't really take the credit for this one, but there is someone here who can, and I just want to mention her. Beth Robinson dogged this thing from the beginning. And Beth, thank you for your extraordinary effort. Secretary of State Jim Condos, thank you for your support.
Thank you.
Bravery.
I'd like to just take us back to 1976 when the public records law was actually first enacted. Let's think about what it was like at that time. 99% of the records that we have in state government at that time, or in local government, were on paper. Today, 35 years later, what do we have? Most of our records are electronic. Clearly, our statutes have not kept up with technology as they've come along. I think that distrust in government and distrust in government is not good for our democratic process as we go forward. This bill has all the impact that it will have on the public's right to know is so important to improving that trust with our local governments and with our citizens, and that is so important. This is only the beginning, however, and I don't know if Greg is still here or not. Is he hiding somewhere? He usually is. He's hard to hide. But Greg Sanford, who's the head of our State Archives and Records Administration, will tell you that over and over again, and I can't tell you how many times he repeated it to me, and how much I have come to believe in it, is that the access and the management of those records is going to make everything much easier for everyone. So as we improve our management, that's what's going to improve everything. So good government is open government. Let's go forward.
And now speaking for both the House and the Senate, Representative Donna Swaney. Thank you for your great work on this one.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
You're welcome. This is only the beginning. We have more work to do. We have a lot of exemptions to do, to look at with the standing committee that has been presented with the bill. So we're looking forward to getting that rolling. But again, my committee was wonderful, as was that Senate committee, to work on this bill and have something here that we're proud of. So thank you.
Thank you, Lucy, Majority Leader, for your extraordinary work. Kenny, Ann, does anyone want to add anything?
How can you add to what our chair said?
Okay. Mr. Speaker, you still don't want to say anything.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
He understands this law. He's going to keep his mouth shut from here on out. Okay, let's do this. Are you ready? Come on, everybody around. You got to pack it on in. I've learned this about these things. You're all invited to be in the back. No? Here we go.
Alan, can you see?
This feels so good.
I forgot to say rabbit, rabbit, rabbit this morning.
Oh, well, I did.
All right. 6, 1, 11. It's law.
All right.
Done.
Yes.
Thank you.
Great.
All right. And we're going to give this pen, I wish I had more of them, because really Donna Sweeney deserves one of these, and Beth deserves one of these, and the whole team. But I'm going to give this pen to the Vermont Press Bureau and Maria.
Thank you very much.